Thank you for hosting this meeting. I'm just going to briefly introduce myself. My name is Lieutenant Detective Rich Driscoll. I work in the Family Justice Center. I represent the Sexual Assault Unit, Human Trafficking against Children, Internet Crimes Against Children, and then we also have a cold case initiative, under a SAKI grant. I just want to dive right into the topic and just echo the comment. I know Coletta, she mentioned that nothing we want to do is victim blame or put the onus on those who are being victimized by this issue. I completely 100% agree with that. With respect to some of the issues that we're seeing, I'm just going to go into some brief statistics. So we're aware of about 73 reports where a victim or witness alleges a drink spiking occurred or fears that one occurs. Of those 73 reports in 2022, 3 were reported to have resulted in a positive drug test for opioids, and then a 4th was reportedly the result of an unknown date rape drug. With that said, there's no denying that an issue does exist. And what we're seeing is 2 main domains where it's occurring. The licensed premise, which we're speaking of here, and on college campuses, on the party scene. There are actually 2 separate issues as well. What we've seen in our investigations with the Sexual Assault Unit, including a cold case investigation and some other issues of a concoction called Lean on the college campuses, which is basically a mixture of Sprite, Jolly Rancher, and cough syrup containing codeine and promethazine. That's one domain. And then the other domain is obviously the licensed premises, the bars and things like that, and those types of places where alcohol is served. Just to go in terms of how we view some strategies that we're kind of seeing and things that might be successful is target hardening. And target hardening is a technique mostly used for, making your home burglary proof or things like that. But if we take the receptacles themselves and have some strategies to guard the receptacle and watch them from potentially being spiked, we think that would be a very, very helpful strategy. Additionally, having a bar buddy or a buddy with you. Most people don't go out by themselves. So if you have someone that might be able to, keep an eye on you, and potentially it might be a situation where they, say, hey, you've overindulged a little bit. Maybe, just watch yourself, have a water or whatever else. Additionally to that, with respect to the college party scene, what we think it is mostly, awareness and observations. Last month we met with an organization called Basin. I know Lieutenant Detective Kelly O'Connell's on here from BU, and it's a numbers of colleges that, and we had a back and forth regarding the issue that we saw with Lean and the whole phenomenon there. And they were very receptive, and it really just became about awareness, knowing that such a product exists and that it's growing in some of the reports that we've seen on college campuses, and seeing who is the targeted population. A lot of incoming freshmen who are new to the city and are unaware of certain issues. Having that knowledge and awareness out there, I think is really, really a big part of our strategy. And that's kind of some of the partnership that we've had with the college campuses. Commissioner Cox really stresses the importance of community policing, even in our domain of the investigative services. And traditionally in the past, investigative services really haven't had a community policing aspect to it, but we've tried to embrace that, especially here with SALT and some of the other divisions here. We've tried to really co-sponsor and work with, whether it's the colleges or community organizations and stuff like that, to get certain issues out, such as this. And this speaks to what media relations and John Boyle and his crew over media relations have been doing with the community alerts about getting the information and knowledge out there, because we really do think that awareness and understanding of the issue does help the person. And I hope that doesn't look like we're trying to shift the onus onto the victim. So we're certainly not trying to do that, but good defense is really, really important. In addition to that, with speaking about the licensed premise, one observation in just discussions around with my superiors and police officers in general is we think there might be a reluctance to report from a lot of licensed premise. So maybe the consideration of like a Good Samaritan exception for reporting of drink spiking, so that the licensed premises and the bars are not afraid to speak up, but being, sanctioned for over-serving. That might be their fear. And the last thing we want is to create a dark figure of crime where it's unreported, because then that makes them that much more muted. So I think relieving them of that fear may assist with getting more and more reporting out, and then partnering with them with the various target hardening aspects that we talked about with the drink, and possibly institution of more video cameras around the bar and on the bar. I know that certain places do that to focus on specifically where the drink is poured, so it can relieve a person. It also assists greatly in our investigations after the fact when we're trying to determine what exactly may or may not have occurred. And a lot of times it can provide closure for some people who just don't know what occurred. And sometimes we can come back to them and say, you had X amount of drinks. Do you think, it possibly could have been an overindulgence issue or something like that? And I'm speaking to when there's just a report of someone that says, I don't know what happened. The next thing I know, I woke up. They're not reporting any additional crime. Obviously, if it's a survivor issue or an issue with it's dealt with completely and totally different. I think that's about all I have. I just wanted to once again thank you, and on behalf of Superintendent Felipe and everyone at BIS, we're willing and able and helpful to do whatever it takes to assist in this issue. And once again, thanks for bringing the issue to light. Thank you.
Thank you, Lieutenant Detective Driscoll. We've also been rejoined by our colleague, City Council Liz Braden. I also see that our colleague, City Council Julie Mejia, is joined. And I want to recognize Chairwoman Kathleen Joyce.